He's gonna make it clear. Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know?
Welcome to the Did You Know Show. My name is Brian Green, and I am on set with one of the most influential people in my life. Can I just tell you, I want to read her bio, just so I don't forget anything. But when you turn on the Did You Know Show, this is the voice. This is the voice that sings my intro. I came to her, like I came to my friend, and she cut that spot that has ran on my show for the last 4 seasons. Can you believe that? I'm sitting here with Dezzie Neal. With an illustrious voice and soulful lyrics, Dezzie Neal has distinguished herself as a trendsetter on the gospel music scene since 2002. After the release of her first project, Dezzie gained notoriety, respect, and the attention of many in the industry by rising quickly as a notable voice on the Philadelphia gospel music scene. I'm a witness. What happened next was a totally surprise to Dezzie as God totally shifted the use of her voice and blessed her with the opportunity to become the youngest syndicated radio personality on Philadelphia's Praise 103.9 with listeners throughout the tri-state Delaware Valley region and North Carolina, and hold a captive audience of over 30,000 listeners. Dezzie's tagline, "Hello, it's your big girl," became well known as it used to remind women that are beautiful, intelligent, and gifted. Her voice and her influence quickly spread across the globe, which landed her a position as the entertainment correspondent for the Yolanda Adams Morning Show, a well-known syndicated morning show. Dezzie is now gracing the airways of Reach Gospel 97.1 FM as a daily evening drive jock and a force to be reckoned with. I'm a witness. I'm just going to keep saying it. Dezzie's list of accolades also includes Gospel Ambassador for the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy Grammys, Stellar Servant Awardee, City of Philadelphia's citation recipient, and one of Philadelphia's 100 most influential black women. Dezzie has hosted stages in major arenas and worked with closely behind major artists like Kirk Franklin, Mary Mary, Ty Tribbett, Donald Lawrence, Bishop Hezekiah Walker, Shirley Caesar, and a host of other A-list artists. I'm a witness.
Backstage.
Listen, since completing her degree in human services and psychology, Dezzie has shifted her focus to providing private emotional wellness consultation to artists who present the need for her services. Dezzie's greatest accomplishment is being a mother of 2 amazing demonstrations of God's grace, her daughters. I could go on for probably another 20 minutes, but I'm just going to let's welcome my friend. No, my real friend.
Real friend.
When you winning or you challenged.
Look.
When you need somebody to hold their hand to your back. When you need somebody to say to you, look, what was you doing? Mm-hmm. Get you together in a nice, calm way in the back room and just tell you, look, get yourself together. What's wrong with you? Or at the same time say, you know what, you did the daggone thing and keep on going. That's this woman right here. I want the world to know about Dezzie. And thank you for coming on my show. Thank you for singing my intro.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for valuing me. Thank you.
Beyond measure.
Thank you.
Beyond measure. So let's get started. Let's say this. How did you actually get started in media?
Man, oh man. So I started out, I went to an open mic at the Clef Club.
Oh, wow.
I went to an open mic. Me and my girlfriend sang a selection, and this gentleman named Mr. Eric Green, I got booed. They were like, she ain't the one. But you know Philly loves Philly, so they had to pick, right?
Right.
So I wasn't the one. So this man named Eric Green, he found me. He said, I want to cut a record for you free of charge. So, I didn't know what it was giving. I didn't know if he was trying to talk to you. You know what I mean? I didn't know what was going on.
What was the deal?
Long story short, cut the record. Started traveling the city doing music and everything, and then I would speak between at my concert I would speak between my songs, and there was a gentleman named Rodney Green, another Green, who was like, your voice.
No relation, by the way.
No relation. Your voice, and Brian Green. Look at all this green. Okay, so he's like, your voice is something about your voice. And I'm like, are you speaking about my singing voice? He said, no, your speaking voice. Do you do radio? Have you ever done radio? I'm like, no. He said, my uncle's name is Rick Green. He said, do you know who Rick Green is? And I'm like, no, I don't know anybody in the industry. He said, I want you to test out radio. I want you to see. So we did what's called an air check, for those who know. I did the air check, and they were going wild. And I'm like, y'all are biased. I need somebody who doesn't know to say whether this is good or bad. They got the air check to the one and only Elroy Smith.
Oh, wow.
When Elroy Smith says your voice is radio quality, your voice is radio quality. Elroy Smith gave me a 60-second segment on a show with this gentleman named Big City. And in 2 months, my 60-second segment turned into my own show on Praise 103.9, and the rest is history.
Wow.
That's how I got started.
And you know, your humble beginnings, and you got your hands in so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to just pigeonhole you and say that you're a radio personality would really be underselling your value.
Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of philanthropy. You do a lot of community service. You're an actress.
Yes, I love that.
You be acting. You be acting. You know, you help the community. You got a lot of different things. What inspired Little Mamaz? Let's go there.
Let's talk about Little Mamaz. So, for those of you who don't know, throughout my radio career, you heard him say I went to school. So, I am a college dropout. My first go round, I couldn't focus. I was into cosmetology.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I was in Del State. I was partying the can on.
Tell the whole story because a lot of people need to hear that.
That's right. I like to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I was in Del State University. I was doing hair. They would get their hair done on Friday. I had a half price special on Sunday so you can get redone for the next week. So that was my focus. I was hustling.
You was hustling.
So my mother actually, she got sick while I was in college.
Okay.
And my heart wasn't there anyway, so this was kind of like my big break to get away from college, right?
Okay.
And my mom said, listen, if you're going to play, you're going to have to leave. Like, I didn't struggle and do everything that I did for you to play. If you're going to leave, I need you to leave. I wound up dropping out of Del State University after my first year. Do you know, even playing, even being a hustler and an entrepreneur doing hair, when my transcript came and I got a 379, I cried because I just knew I was failing and I was passing. And I'm like, I could have done better for my family. I could have been that one that graduated from college. And she's like, listen, you don't have to do that, but you're going to do something and you're going to be the best at what you do. So get this, I got into the mortgage industry.
Wow.
I was a mortgage loan processor for AmeriQuest Mortgage until predatory lending.
That was a whole period.
That was a whole thing. You understand me?
In my career, I worked for Conti Mortgage. Shout out to all my friends that worked at Conti Mortgage back in the day. That B and C lending. If you're in credit, you know exactly what we're talking
BC
about.
paper.
BC paper. Your credit is not A paper.
Oh no, honey. No conventional loans. You know what I mean?
No conventional loans. Look, and they giving you all kinds of high interest rate loans on property.
Yes. So predatory lending came, and I was always doing hair. So I'm mixed. I am Irish, I'm black, white, and Jamaican. My father was Jamaican. My mother was black and white.
Okay.
So hustle, it's in me. I'm gonna do two things at one time.
Only two jobs? You lazy like
me? Only two jobs.
Only two jobs. You lazy like the bee.
So I'm doing hair. I'm doing mortgage. Predatory lending comes, and the mortgage broker that I was working for at that time, the lender, they folded.
Okay.
So then I had to lean solely on cosmetology. And so after that, I'm like, man, I found my passion for human services, and a human services organization gave me a shot. Well, it was a grant that was coming up. The grant I was on was running out. And guess what? You had to have a degree to stay. And I didn't have it.
Wow. Now, how many times? Now, okay, so let's break it down from a timeline. You was at Del State.
Yep.
Shout out to Virginia State.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of people, and the reason why I say that, too, is a lot of people that start off in college, and you take dips and turns, and sometimes you find your way getting ready to come back.
Yeah.
Now, how long was you out of school before now? What was the story about you had to go back?
So, Del State, I came out. I was there for 1 year. I left. I worked 1, 2, 3 years. I had my daughter, Jalen. We're talking... I didn't go back for 10 years.
Okay.
I didn't go back for 10 years. I got caught in that hustle. Even getting to that ceiling, I allowed fear, which is false evidence appearing real. I allowed fear to keep me from making the money that I needed to make and had a child at this time. You see what I'm saying? And I stayed there for 2 more years until it was like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm letting a piece of paper, a degree, a study, an 18-page paper, some MLA and APA keep me away from my dreams, and I decided to go back to school. I found Lancaster Bible College at Deliverance. They had a satellite place where you could do, I need people, I can't do the online thing, I can't do online. So you could go to school, and you could also, you could do some online stuff. I wound up finishing my degree in 2 years because they allowed me to use that year of credits from Del State, and also, guess what? life experience. So that whole time that I was struggling through, God allowed for that life experience, that working to count. And when I tell you 2016 walked across that stage with honors, the honors that I should have had before, that started the ball rolling. And I stayed in human services and radio simultaneously. I have always kept a day job. People don't know that. I've been in a day job all my radio career. Been at Phil Abundance for 13 years. Worked in social services a total of 23 years, and radio is 16 years. Social services is my love. So when you say, how did all this begin? How did we get to Little Mamas? This is how Little Mamas began.
Let's take a quick break. And, when we come back from the break, I want to take it from there, and I want to also share something with you when I come back. So don't go away. I'm sitting here with my good friend, Dezzie.
Did you know?
Dad, you can't do this anymore. I think it's time to consider a nursing home.
But I don't want to leave my home, all my stuff.
But Dad,
Always Best Care is here to help.
With Always Best Care, we come to you and do anything you need to continue living at home with our care.
You really are a hero.
Let Always Best Care take care of your loved one. Everyone deserves the best care, always.
Let me help you with that, Mrs. Jackson.
Oh, thank you, dear.
How'd this get here? You got one too?
Yeah.
Ah, new recruits? I'm sure you're wondering why you're here. This is our Elite Caregiver Super Training Center, and you two are the perfect candidates.
This is incredible.
I know, right? Ready to become an Always Best Care caregiver? Working for the best team with competitive pay? Join Team Green.
Always Best Care supports diversity. There's a hero in all of us.
Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know?
Welcome back to the Did You Know Show. I want to let you know that today's show is sponsored by Always Best Care Senior Services. We provide in-home care primarily to seniors, but if you're somebody that has had a hip or knee replacement, a back injury, if you're recovering from a stroke or battling cancer, if you're recovering from COVID, check it out. We will service you from 1 day to 365 days a year. Conversely to that, we are also hiring. If you're looking to work in our customer service, payroll, marketing, or even out in the field as a caregiver, check us out at teamgreenabc.com. We offer a competitive salary. We offer benefits, medical, dental, vision, 401k. And guess what? We are now paying for SEPTA key cards. We will pay for key cards to cut down your cost for traveling. So I'm back today on the studio with my good friend Dezzie Neal, and we left off with you talking about college and all, and talking about college. I want to share with you, when you talk about you stopped and you get ready to go into it, but did you know that me, my mother, and my grandmother all went to college at the same time? I was a traditional student down at Virginia State. I was doing the butt. But Mommy and Chubby, this is called my grandmother, Mommy and Chubby were non-traditional students at that time at Gwinnett Mercy.
Wow.
And they had both had serious years of work experience. So, and if I'm going to be honest, the kids said keep it a buck means keeping it 100% real. Their grades were always better than mine. And they were sending me money. I was down in Petersburg, Virginia. I was pledging. I'm a Q. In the frat life and down there. I got the whole experience so good that I stayed down there for a 5th year.
Wow.
We all went courtesy of 1199C Hospital Workers Union.
Wow.
For years, Mommy was a union delegate. Chubby was a nurse. And then, she went back and got her RN, and Mommy became a certified scientist. And so, when you talk about non-traditional students, I want people to understand that everybody doesn't go to college for 4 years.
That's right.
And let's say unscathed.
That's right.
Life experience, life happens.
That's right.
And so you were about to tell us, you about to walk us through that.
Yeah.
So you had this grant that was about to run out, and to be able to do it, you had to get a college degree. So then you found this program.
Yep.
You went back, you walked across the stage.
Walked across that stage. And I was telling you during the break, so here's the thing. A lot of people, I let fear stop me. We talked about fear. I also let finance, the fear of not having the money, stop me. It always worked out. Little did I know, when I enrolled in school, just that particular year, mind you, That was the year that there were scholarships available for single parents, single black parents to be specific. That was the year that the college was giving out a laptop just for for enrolling in school. So all the things that I needed that I didn't think that I was going to have, it was going to make sense for my life. It all started to make sense. The scholarships came. Things happen. Life began to make sense for me, and it can make sense for you too. We can't let fear stop us. Fear is false evidence appearing real. It's the enemy's job to stop you from your dreams. But I'm telling you, when I said yes, the doors opened up. As they say, the doors of the church are open, okay?
Well,
so you got to take that leap, and you got to take that step. And human services helped birth my purpose. Little Mamas, it helped birth my purpose.
You know, Little Mamaz is heavy. I stalk you on social media. You're one of my favorite places to go when I need uplifting. But this particular day, I tuned into you giving a class on Little Mamaz. So first of all, tell us about Little Mamaz. Tell us the concept, and tell us what gave you birth to really reach back and help young women in the way that you do.
Little Mamaz Etiquette Academy is an etiquette academy specifically for little girls of color from ages 8 to 17. It focuses on couth, character, confidence, and code switching. It is important that little girls know, and let me say this. So I'm looking for the little mamas who are a little rough around the edges. I pay homage to Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill is a more affluent type of organization. I am looking for little girls who are a little rough around the edges, who need that grooming so that I can bring out that thing in them. You know how you can see somebody in something in someone, but they just need a little grooming? I'm a witness that when you operate in confidence and you have couth and you know how to code switch, you can get more opportunity. I've witnessed it. I've done it myself. And so I just have this burden for little girls who, people will otherwise cast away. I teach them fine dining. I teach them confidence building. I teach them positive relationship building. I teach them how to properly introduce themselves. I teach them the parts of their body, specifically, I'm going to say it, the vagina. There are little girls here and everywhere who are using parts of their bodies that they don't even know they have. The saddest thing, the first class that I taught, I said, raise your hand if you have a urethra. And nobody raised their hand.
Wow.
None of them knew that they had a urethra. What's an urethra? That's a person. But a urethra, you know what I'm saying? So the little girls didn't even know. And so it behooves us, moms that are watching, it behooves us to know first so that we can properly train our children. But if you haven't had the time, or if life in society has gotten so crooked that you're working so hard that you can't be the mom you need to be and teach these values and things, that's where Little Mamaz comes in. It is a demonstration of love. It's my purpose. I thought I was meant to do everything else I was doing. But until you tap into your purpose, it just comes easy. That's another reason why I know it's what I'm born to do, because everything just falls in line. Everything about Little Mamaz has fallen into line, and people just are living for this vision. It's a wonderful, I love my girls. I love my girls.
And you know what? It was nice to see a woman share vulnerability and not come at you.
That's right.
You didn't come at. You didn't. I've seen excerpts of the class, of the session, and you gave them room to explore and to ask questions.
Yeah.
Because unless you really are comfortable, you're not going to ask questions.
Yep.
And you really, what was interesting was a lot of people really just didn't know, and it's okay. Our mutual friend, Lynette Medley Thurman, is out here doing her, the period poverty.
Yeah.
And there's so many people out here that cannot afford the basic essential feminine products.
Yep.
And you would never know it, but Lynette's taking that to a whole nother level. So shout out to her.
That's right.
But
she's week 6 at Little Mamaz. She comes to Little Mamaz.
Really?
Oh yes. I keep it in the family, baby.
Right on.
She teaches my girls. Yep.
And see, I didn't even know that, but it makes natural sense.
Yes.
It makes natural sense when you're talking about that kind of thing, because when you know how old you are when you start talking about venereal disease.
My.
And the kids look at you like, what are you talking about? Venereal disease? You mean what?
What is VD?
What is VD? Well, that's what it was called in my health class back in the 70s and 80s, okay? But now it's transitioned to STIs. And now they call it something else. I don't even know. They have different jargon and that kind of thing. You talk about code switching, but Little Mamas is a way that young women, and I like your approach to taking some people, and not calling them throwaways, but people that would potentially throw them away because they're rough around the edges. And it's not they weren't born rough around the edges.
Right.
Sometimes life has a way of hardening you.
That's right.
And a lot of people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so, you build up this rough exterior to protect yourself.
That's right.
The only way you know how.
Yeah.
And so kudos to you for doing Little Mamas. How does one find out about Little Mamas? How does how the sessions? How often do they run? Tell us all about it.
So Little Mamas run. So every April starts a new academy. The formal academy begins in April because y'all know family in the winter months. We don't do what we're supposed to do coming out. Y'all know from dance school. You know what I mean? You might come one Saturday, then you miss the other Saturday. So the winter time is more of a workshop. I'm going out to locations. I'm going to schools. I'm doing it. But April starts the formal academy. Little Mamas is an 8-week cycle. So I will take up to 20 girls. First cycle ever, I had 10 girls. We went down to 8. So I'm taking up to 20 girls because I'm ready this go round. So DezzieOnline.com, www.DezzieOnline.com. You click on the tab that says Little Mamas, 8 to 17. We will make sure that we have the proper ages for the girls. It starts off with an amazing t-shirt, Little Mamas t-shirt. Let me show you the logo. So this is the logo, guys. This is what you're looking for. Every little girl comes, they register. I teach the parents, listen, I'm not Nanny McPhee. So don't bring me your little girls. This is not a school where I teach people not to be little bad girls. It's an etiquette school. So we do have a zero tolerance policy. But every little girl comes, they register, and then they immediately get their t-shirt. Their uniform. I have a uniform.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. You wear t-shirts and tutus to school every week.
Okay.
T-shirts and tutus. My older girls are going to be wearing t-shirts, their t-shirt and their blazer and their tutu. Everybody's uniform. One thing about uniformity is it takes away that feeling that kids have that you're better than me. Because if we all have on the same thing, it breeds equality. We are all black women. We are all, young black women. We're all trying to do better, get better. You understand what I'm saying? So all the kids come in, and then that first lesson.
Go ahead.
I got to do it. I got to do it.
Come on with it.
First of all of our mirrors are customized so that they look like what you see. Our first lesson, this is my favorite one. This is my Josephine Baker mirror. When you look at me, what do you see? Mirror, mirror is the first lesson. And most of the little girls are like this. They don't even want to look.
Oh, wow.
The hardest part, the first thing I have to do is break down the wall of self-hate. And it usually takes 2 weeks. I can't get the little girls to even look in the mirror.
Wow. That's deep.
Built up so much self-hate. The first thing that they're usually able to see is, I got a pimple. I got a big nose. I look ugly. My teeth are crooked. So shout out to anybody who's doing anything with youth. Love the fact that y'all are trying to drill these rules and regs. First, you got to help them love themselves so they can embrace your program. Nobody wants anything that you have to give unless you help them embrace themselves. I understood. I was that girl that saw nothing but this little fat girl. All I could see was this little fat girl.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? But my mom helped me see the beauty of my freckles. That God didn't just bless anybody with freckles. You know what I mean? This was a sprinkle from above.
Come on, Dezzie.
And so these couple of weeks of helping them to love and embrace themselves, and then we step right on into, now, how do you introduce yourself to people? How do you become personable? When that first impression, that 1 minute, that literal 60 seconds, right? That you get to really make an impression on somebody. What do you want to do with it? How are you going to do it? And we don't jump into a professional intro. We jump into personal intro. And don't get all in people's business. Be easy. Ease yourself into a room. Let your grace enter the room. You know what I'm saying? Then after we do that, now we're getting into that body. This is what Brian saw. I have this thing I do with a grapefruit. Fun fact. If you cut a grapefruit in half, it looks just like a lady part. I'm just saying.
It was an education for me.
You got to see it to believe it.
It was an education. It caught my attention. Mm-hmm. Because I found myself listening.
Yes.
For me, I have a daughter. Mm-hmm. She's grown now, mm-hmm. But you learn so much about little girls if you're raising one.
Yep.
Like I didn't know that little girls, you shouldn't try to give them a little bubble bath. It could cause problems.
Yeah. Some of the products can throw their pH off. And this is the thing. While I was teaching the class, I went live on purpose. Now, once the girls start talking, we shut the camera off. But while I was talking, I went live on purpose because I'm teachable. If there was a medical professional, it was like, you did everything right, but so-and-so, I want you to teach me, right? Because
step
in and let me know if I'm doing it wrong. But so far, I've been doing it right. I'm telling you, once we get into that feminine hygiene health, and we don't get into reproductive health, we're going to leave that for the schools.
Okay.
We're doing straight up feminine hygiene health and all that stuff because a lady smells sweet. When a lady walks by, you may not hear her voice, but you smell her scent. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Just little things of elegance in the class of being a lady that have been so gone, because now all you need to do is have a TikTok page and an Instagram page and a handbag and a weave with a part down the middle and an attitude. You know what I'm saying? A Fendi bag and a lash. You know what I mean?
Them flappers.
And so here again, shout out to those ladies that has been valued in your life, because nobody took the time to say that's not the most valuable thing about you. Your booty, right, is not the most valuable thing about you. This thing this thing up in here that's between your ears and inside of your head is called a brain. That is the most valuable part of you. Your heart is the most valuable part. And we messed up because somewhere we got lost. In society, we shifted. Our values shifted, right? And so we got lost in the sauce. But I feel like I can't stand by and watch it happen. I can't stand by and continue to see little girls, little boys say any old thing to little girls think that it's okay to do this and behave like this. I can't stand by. So I'm going to do Mahatma Gandhi. I'm going to be the change I want to see.
Let's take a break on that note. I'm enjoying this conversation. Don't go away. We're going to have some more conversation with the one and only, my friend, Dezzie Neal.
Did you know?
Let me help you with that, Mr. Smith.
Oh, thank you.
How did this get here?
You got one too?
Yeah.
New recruits? I'm sure you're wondering why you're here. This is our Elite Caregiver Super Training Center, and you two are the perfect candidates.
This is incredible.
I know, right? Ready to become an Always Best Care caregiver? Working for the best team with competitive pay? Join Team Green.
Always Best Care supports diversity. There's a hero in all of us.
Dad, you can't do this anymore. I think it's time to consider a nursing home.
But I don't want to leave my home. All my stuff.
But Dad.
Always Best Care is here to help.
With Always Best Care, we come to you and do anything you need to continue living at home with our care.
You really are a hero.
Let Always Best Care take care of your loved one. Everyone deserves the best care. Always.
Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know?
Welcome back to the Did You Know Show. If you just tuned in, I'm talking to my very good friend, Dezzie Neal. And I said it at the top of the show, Dezzie's voice is the voice that you hear when the show starts. She has this angelic voice, and she also does prose. She does lyrics. She does all kinds of things. You can book Dezzie. Look at the bottom of your screen if you want to book Dezzie as a motivational speaker. I have to give her props. And like I said, she, for me, has been somebody. God brings people into your lives from time to time that you don't even see coming, that have this longevity of spirit. And what do I mean by that? Somebody that can move you just by their presence. Dezzie and I, we have kind of crossed paths a lot in the center of what we're doing, whether it be community outreach, entertainment, the church, all those kind of things. And anyway, we can give each other a look and really communicate silently, like what the vibe is and that kind of a deal. And anyway, I'm just so happy to have you on the show, and I'm so happy and proud that you've been able to activate little Mamaz. And so when you ended the last segment, I want to get back to that. How do people enroll? How does the village support it? How many? What is your goal for the year in terms of how many girls you hope to reach and that kind of a deal?
Yeah. So Little Mamas, the way that you enroll, because again, this April 2023 starts a new formal cycle. Right now, workshops are going on here and there, but a formal cycle, you go to DezzieOnline.com, www.DezzieOnline.com, or you can go to Instagram at Lil Mamas, and I'm spelling Lil Mamas, LILMAMAZ.
And in case you miss it, you can't, like most people get on me because we talk very fast. We're gonna slow down and talk, and we're gonna show it at the bottom of the screen. You can look for that logo, but you look at the bottom of your screen right now, and you can definitely jot it down and that kind of a deal.
Yeah.
So how does one enroll? Because you're in the Philadelphia demographic. How does one look at it? How does one ask questions? I imagine parents do want to know more about it because you are talking about some really personal things and that kind of a deal. So how do people find out about it?
Indeed. So when you go to DezzieOnline.com or you go to Instagram at LILMAMAZ, right? Lil Mama's Academy, you will see a submission form for enrollment, right? You go on there, you can click on it, you fill out the child's name, information, then an administrative assistant will call you back. At that time, all the questions that you have, in addition to our requirements too. That's where we find out, no, this is not a disciplinarian program. This is what you're going to have to pay or not. Here's the deal. Since the first cycle, let me tell you how good God is. Lil Mamas is an official nonprofit organization.
Wow.
I have my official 501c3.
Go ahead.
And so, end of the year, we do something called High Five Fridays. If you guys see it, follow on Instagram, please. $5 a Friday has gotten us, and I'm proud of this, $835 in the month of December. We got $835. What does that mean for Little Mamas? That means that 4 little girls can come to school absolutely free. The cost of Little Mamas is $250 per girl for eight whole weeks. That is their uniform, that is their food every week, that is their graduation cost, that's everything. So, Little Mamas, DezzieOnline.com. So what happens? They get their uniform that week. They get a phone call personally from Miss Dezzie, who personally invites them into Little Mamas, and then they formally begin classes. What I'm trying to do, so I would like to serve. I am going to serve. Ain't no like to. I'm saying I'm going to speak this thing. In 2023, I am going to touch 500 little girls. I am going to serve and change the lives of 500 little girls. How am I going to do it if I'm only doing 4 cycles? Like I told you, so there's formal cycles where there are 8-week classes and a graduation, but then there's opportunities to say, Dezzie, I want you to come to my church. Dezzie, I want you to come to my school. Dezzie, I want you to come to my after school program. Or I have just a group that I mentor. I want you to come to them, and I want you to give a more condensed version. So there's the 8-week version. And let me tell you about the 8-week version. Let's talk through the 8-week version. So the
curriculum, the syllabus.
Oh yeah, mother came to slay. She didn't come to slay. Okay, the syllabus is inclusive of. So week 1. All right. So week 1, unapologetically me. That's talking all about vulnerability. Week 2, remember I just told you that's when we get the girls to kind of break. Week 2, we're talking about introductions. We're talking about how to properly integrate yourselves into other people's lives. Week 3, we are talking about your talents, your skills. Why do you think God created you? What do you think you're here for, right? So that we can start to birth those things. Week 4 is the week that we get into the hygiene. Okay. Because now that you can actually think about what you want to be, now we need to talk about how do you present yourself so that you can get the opportunity to be what you want to be. So that's when we get into the hygiene and all that. Week 4, we invite guests in, right? Miss Lynette Medley, she came week 6. It was a scheduling thing, but week 4 she would have come. Right. Then hairdresser comes the next week. Fashion stylist comes the next. You see what I'm saying? We putting all the pieces together to make you the best thing. Week 7 and 8 is practice for graduation, because now you are going to demonstrate. I'm sorry, week 7 is fine dining. Okay. Because we're getting you used to being taught how to be treated. Because once you become who you're supposed to be, you're going to get treated a little differently. You know what I mean? You're going to be going to some dinners. So we do the fine dining where I actually take them out. Shout out to Food Chasers. Food Chasers hosted this first one. I took them to Food Chasers. Okay. And they set up a private room for us, and we fine dined. And then week 7, we practice for graduation. Week 8, practice, and we graduate. A formal, almost cotillion style graduation where everything that they've learned in a station there's a fine dining station, there's a talent station, there's a edification, and we promote self-love. So it's just a wonderful program. I will reach 500 girls this cycle. The question is, will it be your little mama?
Wow, and so that's interesting, and of course I'm going to have to get on board and support it and figure out a way to support it. But so what are some of the questions? Everybody won't be able to do it right away, but I'm sure, just as sure as me and you are sitting here, I'm pretty sure that some parents are really interested. But a lot of questions come up in these sessions. And sometimes, you mentioned it at the top of the interview that, for that working parent, you may not be able to get to all other things that's going on. But sometimes it's, you find children will ask questions that they wouldn't normally ask their parent because they feel probably intimidated, which is not uncommon. It doesn't make you a bad parent, it doesn't make you a bad child. But what are some of the questions that you find yourself addressing that are just so simple but common around young people? I know you don't have to call anybody's name out.
No, I never would do that. You know that we said we wasn't gonna cry. I'm gonna try not to cry. Here's the thing.
Don't get me crying. Don't get me emotional. Don't get me emotional.
As a human services provider and a social worker, I have the burden of being. I have to report if something out of the way comes up.
Okay.
There have been. And I'll say this, fortunately and unfortunately, there was a location I went to where I allowed the girls to give me an anonymous feedback card for the purpose of evaluation. And a little girl anonymously wrote, and they handed in their cards and they were dismissed. One of the children wrote that she was being touched from the age of 4 to 9. And she said, this is the first time that I felt comfortable telling somebody. She wrote this on a card. I kept the card. I have all the cards in my room. This is the first time I felt comfortable saying it, and now I know that I'm not a piece of trash. That thing hurt me so bad. But what hurt me more is that it was an anonymous card, and I couldn't get back to her, and class was dismissed. This was the 12th grade, the 11th grade of a charter school, and I couldn't get to that little girl. So that's one side. Some of the questions that come up from my younger mamas are, how did you start loving yourself? Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you keep loving yourself? Like, every day you come here, you love yourself. You still love yourself. How do you do that? You know what I'm saying? It's so hard. There's so many mixed messages in social media that give them reasons to say, like, I have no reason to love myself. So when you are consistently fighting against social media, say, no, don't believe what that said. That's a lie. You are beautiful. You know what I mean? Other questions are like, how do you continue to be somebody's friend when you know that they've said bad things about you, when you know they're talking about you? So
bullying,
you know what I'm saying?
Bullying is a big thing. It's always been around.
It's huge.
And we've focused the conversation on little mamas, but I'm just as sure as I'm sitting here, there's young men out here.
Yeah.
And me being one of them, for a very long time it was hard for me to fit in. I found myself a lot of times dreaming, and really I was an only child for a little while. There's 11 years between me and my brother.
Gotcha.
And I didn't find out about my sisters until later on in life. But nonetheless, when you're alone and you have a parent that's working 2 jobs on average.
Yep.
I spent a lot of time alone.
Yep.
And then
turnkey,
latchkey, turnkey, that kind of thing. But it took me, a grown, people see me now, they probably say self-confidence, she's doing something. It took me a very long time to really appreciate and to really love myself too.
Yeah.
And fitting in is something I think that we all want to do.
Yeah.
We all want to be fit. We all want to be appreciated for who we are, man or woman, child. You want to kind of fit in. And then, unfortunately, while technology has really increased the level of knowledge and touch and feel of what's out in the world, but it's also increased a lot of bad elements out there.
Yes.
And bullying, unfortunately, is one of them.
Yeah.
Kids get bullied like you wouldn't even believe. With these, anything from nude pictures to kids being different, find themselves being different and not being accepted. And teen suicide is at an all-time high.
Yeah, teen 9, 8, 7. The babies. You know what? There is a difference. I don't think that even as adults we get this. There's a difference between being invited and being included.
Wow.
You can be invited somewhere. That just means somebody said, oh, they'd be cool to come. When you are included in something, Your voice in that thing matters. Your presence, your true presence, how you feel about being there matters. No, come over here, be with us. You know what I mean? We've been to events where we've been invited. But you know you invited me because either you want a little piece of coin or you just want me in the room for this photo. But inclusion says, I care that you have a good time here. And I think with kids are, and this is not a formal invite. School is an invite. You're invited to attend the school class of so-and-so and so. You're invited to attend Vacation Bible School. You're invited. But are you included? And that's where social media got it right. Because they learn how to make kids feel included and exclusive. But the thing that's wrong is that there's just this big world of fallacy where you could be this fake person and glow and shine for your fallacies.
Wow.
You don't have to be integral. You can be anybody you want to be. And the more fake you are, the more glorified it is. You see what I'm saying? So it is it's so hard. These little kids are struggling. 9 years old, 7 years old. I've heard of it. The youngest I've heard is a 7-year-old that tried to take their life. These kind of programs, and I don't know other programs like all the other programs that are doing this, but shout out to you. We really do have to make sure that we are ensuring our children's, mind state. Post-pandemic mindset is a totally different mindset. I'm still trying to figure out what world we live in now, because I'm like, nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to love anybody. Nope. You know what I'm saying? And then we in Philly on top of it. I'm in Philly, so Philly, we got a little crusty exterior. We tough anyway, go Eagles. But anyway, but seriously, we gotta get back. This stuff is so very important. And all I could do is make sure that the little mamas that God's entrusted to me, that I make sure that I stay up on my mandatory reporting, like I said, and that I answer these questions honestly. And get this, social service providers have the, I was about to say B-A-L-L, I said it now, guts enough when I don't know the answer to something to call a friend who does.
Right.
To say, I don't know, I'm going to get back to you, and I promise, and actually get back to them with the right answer. It's okay to be wrong. They need to see us be wrong, too.
My mother always says, and I know she watches the show, and then she's probably going to fall back in her chair, but one thing that she's said over the years, be the coach, not the warden. Be the coach.
That's good.
Be the coach, not the warden, because then you're included in the conversation.
Yep.
When you're the warden, you almost put up the barrier for that conversation. Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, continue our, finish our conversation, because this time is going by really quickly. I knew that it would, but please don't go away. I'm sitting here with my good friend Dezzie. Again, if you want to get more information, you can look at the bottom of your screen for the website, for the Instagram, all that good information. Please don't go away. We're going to be right back.
Did you know?
Let me help you with that, Mr. Smith.
Oh, thank you.
How did this get here?
You got one too?
Yeah.
New recruits? I'm sure you're wondering why you're here. This is our Elite Caregiver Super Training Center, and you two are the perfect candidates.
This is incredible.
I know, right? Ready to become an Always Best Care caregiver? Working for the best team with competitive pay? Join Team Green.
Always Best Care supports diversity. There's a hero in all of us.
Dad, you can't do this anymore. I think it's time to consider a nursing home.
But I don't want to leave my home. All my stuff.
But Dad.
How the...
Always Best Care is here to help.
With Always Best Care, we come to you and do anything you need to continue living at home with our care.
You really are a hero.
Let Always Best Care take care of your loved one. Everyone deserves the best care, always.
Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know?
Welcome back to the Did You Know Show. I want to remind everybody the show is brought to you by Always Best Care Senior Services. We are hiring. If you're looking to join a winning team, you can check us out at teamgreenabc.com. We do offer a competitive medical, dental, vision, 401k, and guess what? We're now in the Philadelphia area. We're offering caregivers and back office employees a chance to get SEPTA key cards to cut down on your transportation costs. Check us out, teamgreenabc.com. Okay, Dezzie, as we wind down this show, I know, you had to come back. You had to come back, and I'm sorry that it took me so long to have you on the show. But in a way, you've been with me since the beginning because you did absolutely, in a moment's notice, and a moment's notice, you went right into the studio and cut this spot.
That's it.
And I am so grateful for that. And it's the Did You Know show. And the Did You Know show, in theory, for me, was centered around connecting people to home, community, and business resources that you ordinarily wouldn't know about.
Yeah, yeah.
And giving voice to the voiceless. Because, I got to tell you, I just recently seen the State of the Union address where our president, one of the first presidents that I ever, and I'm in my 50s, it's the first time I heard a president mention having to have the talk.
Tell them about the talk.
The talk is when you have to tell your young children of color, specifically your black men, that, if you get pulled over by the police, that you have to keep your hands 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
That's it.
Try to turn on your overhead lights before they get there so they can see you. Don't make any moves. It's the talk that, you want to be respectful and direct, and answer the questions. Don't give a whole lot of lip. And hopefully you will have a positive situation. Yeah. But so many different times they're not. And my daughter, who's grown, reminded me of an instance where she was in a car when I got pulled over by a black state police person in New Jersey. And he was so rude to me. I mean, he really put me through the business, but she said, Dad, you was just so, she knows my personality. So I ain't no punk.
Right.
I ain't no punk.
Right.
But she said, you was just so cool.
Stay calm.
I said I had no choice in the matter but to stay calm. You was in the car. I'm not going to let him pull me out. And the only reason he let me go, I was in a luxury vehicle. And that, we really agreed that's the only reason he pulled me over, because I really didn't break no laws. He said that I aggressively changed lanes.
Wow.
I aggressively changed lanes. That's what he pulled me over for. So for that, I had to present my license, registration. He talked to me as if I was a minor. Where are you going? That's nowhere in That's nowhere in the line of questioning that you're supposed to have. Where am I going is not substantive to I'm aggressively changing lanes. But nonetheless, I told him I was taking my daughter home. So he looked in, and looked at the young woman sitting next to me, and he said, "Wait right here." And he went back. And, did whatever. But then, while we were waiting, he came back abruptly. We heard him get a radio call. We heard him because he was standing outside. We heard him get a radio call. He came back and he tipped on our glass with his little machine, with his little baton or whatever he had, and almost threw my license stuff back to me and said, "Drive safe." And that's what she reminded me.
Wow.
And when I say that is because I had forgotten about it, but I didn't forget about it. But she never forgot about it.
Forget. Yeah.
That she never forgot about it. But it happened to, and you don't want to glorify or kind of propagandize the way that it happens. But it happened to me way more than 10 times in my life. And so, it's almost like when you see movies like The Till, when that woman, that brave woman, had to tell her son, "This is how you act down south." We're in 2023. And you still have some folks that are in legislation that will still vote against the anti-lynching law. You have people now, this whole big conversation about CRT without really explaining what people perceive it to be. And my thing, when we're in social actions, as you and I both are servant leaders, we do a lot to promote education of oneself. And we vibe strong on multiculturalism.
Yeah.
And we recognize that everybody does not have the same playing field, the same access to things like etiquette.
That's right.
And that I'm beautiful.
Right. That's
I may be different, but I'm still beautiful.
That's right.
So when you say different things like that, when you talk about interracial relationships, when you talk about LGBTQ, when you talk about people, being abused silently, when you talk about people being introduced by drugs, a lot of times by their family member, you have these real conversations. And for me, post-pandemic, what has become a real thing is communicating with people not in a multicultural kind of a vibe more so than an intergenerational vibe. Where am I going? When you talk about Little Mamaz, to me, it caught my attention because it was an unapologetically a way of approaching the issue that a lot of people wouldn't touch. It's taboo, unfortunately. And off screen, we talked about, I was telling you about, you had to check it out, and we'll come back and talk about it later, the 1619 Project.
Yeah.
The 1619 Project by this woman that has really taken the approach, Nicole Hannah-Jones. Wow, kudos to you. has taken an approach to how slavery began and how really this country was supposed to be built on freedom, but it was built on slavery and on the backs of free labor. But when you talk about history now, it's not to make anybody feel guilty about it.
No.
It's to really show, the history from which we came. You can't then say, okay, we have this statue. When Sarah Huckabee Sanders had her GOP response, she was so proud of the fact her father and Bill Clinton, had these statues of the Little Rock Nine. But then you won't teach people about what makes the Little Rock Nine special,
Right.
because you're fearful that it's going to make kids feel bad. And that's not what it's about. But kudos to you, because we know that in social work, in home care,
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I would much rather take somebody that has real life experience, dysfunctional experience, to be able to be a team member, because sometimes when you have dysfunctional experience, while I can train you on our billing system and Excel and maybe some management etiquette, I cannot train you on life experiences. And home care, social work sometimes is not as simple as sending somebody into somebody's home to prepare and do care that people are receptive to, and they don't have dysfunction surrounding them. A lot of times centered in poverty. So again, kudos to you and people like you. I just want to give you a chance, 'cause I went off on this tangent, but I think about what you're doing with Little Mamas. I think about social actions. So, what is the I don't want to say growth strategy, but when you think about it, you said you're finding your purpose, and what do you think is going to be the goal? What is going to be the outcome? Are you going to have people down the road that have graduated from the program come back and talk to the undergraduates, people?
Yes.
So
Yes.
lay it on us, Dezzie. Come on, lay it on
right
us.
on it. We always in sync. So it is so crazy because the first cohort of Little Mamas, first of all, they wanted to end. They're like, why do we have to stop coming to school? And I'm like, because I gotta bless more people. Like, I want to reach more people.
Right.
But it's the gift. It literally is a gift that keeps on giving. So there are 8 weeks in the Little Mamas Etiquette program. As God being the God He is would have it, there's 8 girls that graduated from Little Mamas. So the goal for this second cycle is to have one of my alumni come and co-teach a week with me for this cycle. Moving forward, there's going to be an annual gala. We have to all get back together every single time. And then from that, again, each person is going to be assigned. You got to come back and pay it forward. Because when you break the barrier of self-hate, you can't help but want somebody else to feel that. It's like, I guess I would liken it to, I don't know, like a person, doing something for the first time that really makes you feel like, woo. You just want everybody to feel that feeling. So when you break the barrier of self-hate, it is addictive. And so the girls will keep coming back. But from a social movement, I really believe that love is infectious. I believe it's contagious. And I believe that this thing is going to get bigger than my dreams can contain.
I see it.
I really believe it. I believe it's going to be like Girl Scouts. Like, who doesn't want a Thin Mint and a Samoa? You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's going to be like Little Mamas and Girl Scouts. And then I'm going to have to find a way to try to teach other people the curriculum so that they can teach and reteach, so it'd be all around the land. But for 2023, again, I want to reach at least 500 girls, and I need help. Like, I need support. Again, it is a 501c3. I have my charitable contribution letters. I am legit. Y'all know I don't play no games, but I need help, and it doesn't always have to be money. Some people donated the lunch for the week. One thing I did not take into account: these girls can eat. These babies can eat, honey. And when you come to Little Mamas, you can get whatever you want. Here's the menu, because again, I'm teaching them how to be treated. So I pick that menu for the week, or I ask them what they would like. One week they said, Miss Dezzie, can we make fruit and veggie kebabs and meat kebabs, and you know what I mean? And then one week it was like, we want pizza and wings, whatever they want, because I want to get them used to being treated a certain way. And so some people donated the lunch. Some people donated 4 and 5 cases of fruit snacks and Capri Suns for snack. You know what I'm saying? Some people donated glassware. Some people donated flatware. You see what I'm saying? So they were able to, some people donated towards the t-shirt specifically, so that the uniform. Some people made tutus. So everybody was able to help. High Five Fridays is a thing on Instagram at LILMAMAZ, High Five Fridays. It has the Cash App, which is Little Mamas Academy. Again, I am spelling Little Mamas, not little, but Lil, LILMAMAZ. MAMAZ Academy on your what do you call it? Cash App.
Right.
$5. $5 goes a long way. I do not despise humble beginnings. In December 2022, we raised $835 off of High Five Fridays, and I am delighted because again, the value of the program for each girl is $250 for the 8-week course. In my eyes, one day it's going to be worth like $5,000 per. It's going to be like a whole college curriculum.
I, in my head, envision it, and I'm thinking, things like, talking about Black history for, Black women in particular had a really strong point in Black history. A lot of times people don't know that a lot of the early OBGYN and GY gynecologists was experimenting on Black women because some people believe that women had a high more tolerance of pain, and so they did a lot of different things over time. You don't really understand your place in history, and it's not to make anybody feel bad, but when you talk about evolution and moving forward, one thing I want to make a suggestion is maybe we talk about a little politics, and right now we're at a point where people should understand their right to vote and how important it is to vote. One thing you said to me that lays on my heart, it feels good to give, and giving is not always monetary. Giving back in the society is also showing sometimes your vulnerability, and you'd be surprised how many people feel just like you felt, and you wanted, like you said in your words, you don't want to be known as just a little fat girl, and it was beauty in your freckles. It's all right in being different. We come in all shades of love. That's right. And I love the fact
all shades of love.
Also say that you can steal it. You can steal it. I give that to you. All shades of love.
Wow.
It's been my absolute pleasure having you on the show, and this will not be the first time that we're going to have you on. This is my good friend. You can look at the bottom of the screen if you want to get in touch with her about the program, Dezzie Neal. If you want to book Dezzie, she is obviously a motivational speaker. My friend, unconditionally, when I'm winning, when I'm challenged, when I need somebody to say, when I need to go tell somebody I'm vulnerable right now and that I was going to be all right. Yep. She's the person to tell you it'll be okay tomorrow. Okay, that's the show. That's it. It's been sponsored by Always Best Care. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.
Hey!
We turn. Yeah.
Did you know he'll help you understand? Did you know always a right-hand man? Did you know he's gonna make it clear? Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know